Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Ready Plus project workshop series. I'm very happy to be with you and sharing some knowledge with you. I'm Alice Audrain. I'm the lead community outreach and development coordinator for the Ready Plus project. And I would like to thank my colleague Ruby Alguire for her help and support developing this workshop. I hope you learn a lot with us today and that you appreciate the work that we've done with the Ready Plus project. So, what is a Ready Plus project? That's a very important question. I think that you need the answer to. Ready Plus is funded by the Government of Canada through a grant called the Community Services Recovery Funding or grants. It aims at improving access to programs and services, especially for historically underserved communities. And for our project, we were working at developing an approach that would help improve access to programs and services for these communities. For that, we are working on that wonderful project for Ready Plus that stands for Racial Equity, Accessibility, Diversity, and Inclusion Plus. Which is basically a way to try and figure out what is needed for all communities to be better served and then help everybody help with access and have the skills, the tools, and the right awareness to help create even the possibility for access for everybody. But before I actually get into the project into more details, I think it's important to do a land acknowledgement. As we join in community today, I would like to acknowledge that our coming together is taking place on traditional Indigenous territories across Ontario, covered by 46 treaties and other agreements. We recognize that First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people have and continue to nurture these territories. I also want to acknowledge the young Indigenous people and generations to come who will continue to take care of this land. We say it a lot in Ready Plus. Wisdom is in community, and we need to be aware of it and respect that. So, the Ready Plus philosophy started with an idea that individual have an impact, that individual decision, individual aspiration, or individual practice can actually lead to change. And I was inspired by this story that I heard in my home country, which is France, about that little hummingbird trying to do whatever he can to change things. And that story inspired the Ready Plus philosophy, a philosophy where people, by acknowledging, working, and developing specific skills, can start with themselves, start the work for change, for better inclusion, for more diversity, for everybody to be included. They can start it at their own level and then connect to a bigger picture. And the story goes a little something that way. So there's a fire in the forest, and animals are all running away in panic. A hummingbird starts to go to the river and take drops of water, and then keeps dropping the water on the fire again and again, goes back and forth, back and forth. And other animals tell him to stop, because a little bird can never just put out a fire on its own. But the hummingbird replies, I know, I'm just doing my part. And so we can ask ourselves, sometimes things might seem hard and scary, but what happens if everybody starts to do their part? What would happen then? That's the question that Ready Plus is trying to ask. And like a Ready Plus approach, really try and make people understand that they can be part of change and they can commit to do their part. So how did we build this ambitious project and how we made sure that it would be successful, really. Well, we really wanted to use source of information that would assure us to have the best quality when it comes to how to approach things, what are the needs, to be better informed about the needs, to make sure we use things that are efficient, that would have an impact, that would be easy to use, and all of this. So we built the project around a few different things. The first one was being practical. We wanted things to be very practical, we wanted people to have the feeling that they can do something with what we teach. So we went through research, we read reports, we read papers, we read a lot of things that help us be efficient, evidence-based, and do a lot of knowledge and mobilization to use research. Formal and informal research. It's important for us to have different sources. Then we wanted to have information that came from communities. We wanted a community-based approach because we know that lived experience is crucial to better inform our work. So it was about learning from people, connecting with communities and organizations, and making sure that we understand the needs from the source directly. Then we also wanted to be innovative. We are lucky enough to be paired with another pilot program called AFCA, which is an amazing, amazing program. And they really strive to be innovative, and they show us the way as to what do we do when we want to be effective on the ground with people, with what we want to affect, the impact we want to have. And so to be very goal-oriented towards efficiency and impact, and being creative, not being scared of going where people are not necessarily comfortable, just being creative to make sure we build something that's, again, is created according to the actual needs of the people that we want to serve, or that will be actually useful. So innovative. But in that way, that to be innovative, we added another way to do the work, we based the work on something different, and it's what makes READI Plus very unique, and it's having a clinical perspective throughout the project, a clinical perspective to better understand people who are experiencing things and what's happening for them. So having a professional that is able to talk to them and understand what they're going through, but also trying to understand the human experience of things, which is the brain base aspect of the work, which is what do we have in common that makes us react the same way, consider things the same way, integrate things the same way. So the brain-based approach that is asking really, how does everybody's brains work, and what do we have in common? And then interrogate the rest, which is more of a social construct to inform our work also, that understanding. So the brain base and the social construct. And all of this makes the READI Plus project very unique and special. And now going back to the story of the hummingbird, it is important. And the reason why we choose that story, and we think it's a good illustration of the work we want to accomplish, is because there's no one size fits all for us training. What we wanted to build, the READI Plus approach, was really very much about acknowledging that we're not equal when it comes to understanding the world. And we have different lenses, different perspective. It's like a mix of different perception, and it's getting confusing, and there's a lot of information out there. And we saw that in READI Plus, we could have an approach that's just there, that exists, just to prepare people to start their journey towards creating change. Because sometimes when people try to start at the same starting point, and we're not equal, it's easy then to get tired. There's a fatigue. We talk a lot about diet fatigue lately. It can be confusing. There's either too much information, not enough information. It's just complicated. When you build an approach that just takes people at their own pace to actually arrive at a starting point when everybody then has the same opportunity to grow, then it makes the collective work possible and make the collective aspect of things even easier. And we believe that's what we need. So it starts with your own personal, individual journey. It's about people. It's about where you're at. Where are you from? We use a lot the term intersectionality, which is having a better understanding of where you sit into your environment, your world, your society, and who you are, and how does it impact your how you experience life. And so to start your own journey, first acknowledge that it's not a linear journey. It's not going to be simple. It might even look like what you think it's going to look like. Like there's a certain level of flexibility that needs to happen throughout that journey. But it starts just with just realizing that something needs to be done. I think people are very easily dismissive because they don't know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, then you haven't done anything. We disagree with that. We think that the first step to starting the work is realizing that the work is needed. This is step one, because it's very easy to choose ignorance. It's very easy, like we say, ignorance is bliss. And it's easy then to not see it's not in your radar. It's easy to just don't acknowledge your dead spots. Like it's what can come naturally to a lot of people, not questioning, not being interested. So if you have that realization, if you are in a space where you want to be more aware and you want to notice things, then you're started the Ready Plus journey. So it's about what's happening. Then you want to understand more. Like there's a lot, you realize there's a lot you don't know. There's a gap in knowledge, it's a gap in understanding because you notice, but you don't necessarily understand. Remember that the next step is not building like a lot of knowledge. It's not learning everything. It's not being very like knowledgeable about those topics. I think also people give like have unrealistic expectations about that work. When the next step after realizing something is happening is understanding what you don't know and understanding that you don't need to know that much to start doing the work. You don't need to know everything or understand everything to be empathic with other people's experience. You don't need to understand fully their daily life to just have the empathy that comes with it. You don't need to be good with pronouns to be okay with other people orientation or gender identification. Like there's a lot that you can learn, but you don't need to know everything right now to start to do that work. So what do you know? And then once you figure out, oh, this is where I need to work on, there's room for improvement. You also need to know who you are and what you need and what gets in your way. You need to understand what gets in your way because you need to know yourself. If you want to commit to this, you have to interrogate yourself. What are my priorities? What do I have space for? Do I have capacity for this? How much capacity do you have? How much energy? Is it important? Does it need to take the back seat for a little bit? Like, am I a parent, overwhelmed parent? I feel like people get imitated, overwhelmed because if they see it's too much and they don't interrogate, do you have capacity? Then you can put pressure on yourself that you shouldn't, and it's not constructive. So you need to understand your own personal barriers. It's important for you to realize that the more you learned about yourself, the better you're going to be at learning through this journey. Because you're gonna build self-compassion, you're gonna be more patient with yourself, and you're gonna be more realistic. So what gets in your way? Try and figure that out. Then next step is, what do I do? What can I do? What is the next step? Because also now that you know something is not okay and you want to change it, you understand that you need to learn more. You know who you are and what you can give to this goal and what you can't and at what pace. Now, what do you want to do? Let's figure that out together. So, from the individual journey, the goal is to build toward the collective. So, we start at the individual level and giving you some tools and ways to just practice your own work, your own self. how to shift your mindset and have to build a different way of thinking, of doing, or acknowledging, um, just so you can be more efficient or just have a better understanding of what is needed. And you can actually practice something that are practical. And you can just do things that would make sense, not necessarily specifically toward like creating change, but creating change within yourself to be an agent of change, like a positive agent of change. So we start with individual, then we offer you some tools and tips in other workshops about community work, something that's more how to work in a positive way and be supportive to other communities, to all communities. So we do that through advocacy, for example. And of course, then community work, which is more like collective work. How do I'm doing my part within the bigger picture? And that's also part of the journey we're embarking on together. Of course, there's so much that needs to be done, and the journey is long. And as you can see, it requires a lot of flexibility. And like I hear you, maybe you think the same thing that I'm thinking now. It's gonna be easy to get lost. No, because we've decided to ground our work in 3 very specific principles to make sure we are always on the right track. It's like our lighthouses to make sure that we know if we're not sure what the direction is, then we can follow that path. The first one is cultural humility. In Ready Plus, you're going to hear it a lot uh, because we use it constantly. We think it's the source of the best, most qualitative information, really, is community wisdom. We say it a lot. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot that already exists. Community are well informed. They're knowledgeable. They've been working on their skills, their practices for centuries sometimes. So expertise is in community, and there's solutions to very complex societal issues that already exist within communities, especially historically underserved communities that are just overlooked and underestimated. But now is the time to realize that we don't have to reinvent the wheel because maybe the most perfect wheel is somewhere just hidden and you just have to look for it. So cultural humility is a principle that will help you remind yourself that other people have a lot to teach you. There's a wealth of information that is out there. And in connection with other, you'll learn how to improve yourself and to improve your life, existence, and the collective life that we all share. Then there's practical empathy. So we realize that with empathy is very important. You cannot work on the work that we do without empathy because it's the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So it's crucial. But we see a limitation to that empathy. And that limitation is, okay, I have it. What do I do with it? That seems pretty basic, but really it's more complex than you think. Because you want to make sure that you are empowered within your empathy. And so we added practical to make sure we focus on what do I do with my empathy? What impact can my empathy have in that work of connecting with other and creating change that would improve the quality of life for everybody? So practical empathy, there's practical ways to be more impactful with the way you collaborate with others by being able to understand them and then, act with that information. Then we have what we call restorative intersectional trauma-informed practices. It's a mouthful, but really it's about making sure you have the right comprehensive tool that will help you understand others and the way they are, to see them really the way they are, and to adapt yourself to what they need and to be the person that they might need to better connect. Restorative is an intention of respecting people and supporting them through really healing and being safe. Intersectional means you can see all their identities. You don't ask them to choose. They're complex, they're multi-layered, and you want to see them for who they are and welcome who they are. And trauma-informed is acknowledging, especially when it comes to historically underserved communities that have experienced a lot, that experience oppression on a daily basis sometimes, or historically have been oppressed. There's a lot of hardship and trauma that comes with it, and you need to acknowledge it, integrate it into the way you interact with people. So all of this restorative intersectional trauma informed means that you are able to see people for who they are and support them in their needs specifically. With all of these principles, the goal is really to have good and realistic expectations, because I think sometimes we ask too much from ourselves, but also have a better understanding of what's needed from for people and from the work that you want to do. And that is basically how we start. We're going to start the workshop. This is the basic information that you need to know about READI Plus. And now let's go and start with the actual workshop.